It's hard to find good news to share at the moment with you, but today hopefully we're going to bring a little around JobKeeper and some changes that are set to be announced today by the Treasurer. To walk us through some of the detail that's out there already, I've got the Federal Member for Fairfax with us, Ted O'Brien. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Annie.
All right. Now, I understand that despite some changes that were announced a few weeks ago, there's been a bit of a change of heart from the government on trying to make things easier for employers to get access to the JobKeeper wage subsidy. So what's going to change from the end of September?
You're right, Annie. This is all about making sure that the JobKeeper program can support more people, more businesses, more workers. And so maybe it's worthwhile I talk about a few things that will not change,
Okay.
and then some of the changes, if that's okay. So the turnover tests that businesses would be accustomed with do not change. So businesses would have to see a decline in their turnover of 30% or more to be eligible, or if they're a not-for-profit or a charity, 15%. For businesses with turnover over $1 billion is 50%. So the turnover test doesn't change. The subsidy value, so the wage subsidy of the JobKeeper, that does not change from what's already been announced. So it's currently $1,500 a fortnight, and then it tapers off in two separate extension periods. And the third thing that doesn't change is the duration of the extension period. So the current period of JobKeeper, where it's $1,500 a fortnight, that ends on the 27th of September. We then move into a new phase, 28th of September to the 3rd of January, and then another phase after that, the 4th of January to the 28th of March.
All right.
All of those things remain unchanged. But here is what does change.
Yep.
Two main things. Firstly, employees can be eligible if they were on the books from the 1st of July this year. Now, previously, if a business was to get JobKeeper, the business could only include those employees who are on their books at the 1st of March this year.
Okay.
So more employees now become eligible for the program. And that's effective as of now. Actually, it's effective as of the 3rd of August, a few days ago, which was sort of the next fortnight phase for JobKeeper. The second big change is the eligibility of the businesses. So where we have two new extension periods, so I was saying that from the 28th of September to the 3rd of January, for example, that's the new period. Previously, if a business was to be eligible, they would have to demonstrate that their turnover had fallen across two quarters, the June quarter and the September quarter. That's now changed. You only have to prove that the previous quarter, so just one quarter of turnover. Now, where this becomes even more accessible to businesses is in the new year. So 2021, the period between the 4th of January and 28th of March, instead of them having to prove 3 consecutive quarters where their turnover has been below that threshold, they only have to prove it for the previous quarter. So in other words, as businesses move into January next year, in order to get JobKeeper, they would have to prove that their turnover had dropped below 30%,
Yep.
15% for not-for-profit, in the December quarter, in the quarter just before, so the 3-month period. So look, they're both the basic changes. What it really means, though, is more businesses can access JobKeeper. More workers will be able to be on JobKeeper. It does come at a cost, but particularly given the deterioration circumstances in Victoria, it's a recognition from the federal government that we need to keep doing what we've been doing, and that is we need to be agile, we need to provide temporary, targeted relief to those people who need it most. While Victoria has certainly been the main driver of this change, It's applied nationally, so people on the coast will also have exactly the same access. Due to the closure of borders here,
Yes.
you are going to see aviation, hospitality, accommodation, retail. We are going to have sectors locally that will be affected. It's not just going to affect Victoria. So it does mean more people will have that wage subsidy.
Now, we've got apparently something like 270,000 companies relying on JobKeeper and almost 1 million employees on it in Victoria. Any idea, Ted O'Brien, of how many businesses here on the Sunshine Coast and employees are currently receiving JobKeeper, and how many more might be added as a result of these changes and to be announced today?
Look, we have, by memory, I think we have over 14.5, nearly 15,000 businesses on the Sunshine Coast which are on JobKeeper. Now, that translates into about 24 to 25,000 individuals. But I can't answer the question as to how many more will be eligible, Annie, but more will be eligible, more workers, more businesses, but I don't have a figure for you.
We've got now a total spend on the JobKeeper scheme, including these changes today, of $101.3 billion. The figure is just mind-blowing, really, isn't it? Staggering, but very necessary to keep the likelihood of our economy moving in some shape or form, and the ability to recover fully later on. In terms of the cost, though, to the government of doing this, can you see this being extended further beyond March, which is currently where the deadline sits to pull up the JobKeeper scheme?
I think it would be premature to start having a guess as to what happens after March. I think what we have seen, as much as some of these programs change, there is a great degree of consistency in the approach. And that consistency is all around ensuring that we have very targeted temporary relief provided. And so let's wait and see. For now, though, what we do know is that there's ongoing assessments, and we need to make sure that we avoid a cliff, and that's what a lot of these measures are seeking to do. We've just got to help those people who are in need. And you're right, Annie, it comes at a hell of a cost. This program was going to cost about $86 billion before this announcement, and that takes up the total cost to over $101 billion. An enormous amount of money.
Yep.
But we are talking about people's lives, their livelihood.
That's right.
We need to maintain confidence and keep the wheels of the economy moving.
So the initial JobKeeper that people might be on was set to finish on September 28th. Will businesses and employees need to apply for the extension, or will that tick over itself? How does that work?
So there is always a need to continue to provide information through to the ATO. And so that'll be for existing JobKeeper businesses, but also for those who might be new to JobKeeper, and this is what it really opens up for. There are some businesses, and this is more Victoria, by the way, but it will apply to some here. There are some businesses that escaped the worst of this thing over the last few months, but now as the second wave has hit, more restrictions have been imposed, they're suddenly going to be caught. It opens the opportunity for them, and they should be going directly to the ATO. They can actually just go to the ATO website, by the way. It's pretty intuitive now to go to ato.gov.au.
Ted O'Brien, thanks for joining us and explaining some of these changes today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
The member for Fairfax, Ted O'Brien, on ABC Sunshine Coast. I hope that helped you, perhaps allayed some of your concerns. So there's more flexibility in the scheme. You can have employees now join the JobKeeper scheme providing they've been on the books from the 1st of July, as opposed to they needed to be on in March. So there's some changes that are an acknowledgement, I guess, now of how tough businesses are doing it out there, and your business may well be eligible to stay on the books of JobKeeper, to be extended. But as Ted O'Brien said, you're going to have to apply, or give information. It's not apply, but just keep adding that information in as you go if you need to keep your workers on that payment. After 10 this morning, you're going to meet a local woman who runs a very successful business here on the coast. She's a clothing manufacturer. She's relying on JobKeeper, she tells me, at the moment to keep her employees in work. So you'd have to think that, there's many, many businesses out there